Chapter 1376. Evaluating Battle Strength. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Wind howled by his ears. Feng Yuan was sitting on the back of the upper extreme heavenly eagle, his hair flowing behind due to the wind. Despite the wind having enormous force, Feng Yuan did not budge and remained as stable as a mountain. Enigu Immortal definitely had the ability to resist the wind. Behind him were Ing Wu Xie and the others. They were either slumped, standing, looking at the scene below, or recuperating with closed eyes. Feng Yuan did not have any injuries on him. Even when he had failed several times in activating the killer move 180 slaves, he had healed perfectly with Time Path Immortal Gu Man as before. This killer move, 180 slaves, is indeed amazing. It actually lets me command the immemorial desolate beast upper extreme heavenly eagle. Feng Yuan inwardly exclaimed. According to the contents of this killer move, the more desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts I have, the more freely I can control this upper extreme heavenly eagle. That means I should purchase more eagle desolate beasts later on and nurture them properly. Not long ago, Feng Yuan had used 4 immortal gu to wantonly purchase a large group of eagle-type desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts from Treasure Yellow Heaven. It could not be helped. The situation was urgent if there was enough time. Feng Yuan absolutely would not make such stupid transactions. Currently, the commotion due to this transaction had yet to fade in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Many Gu Immortals were discussing this event and how foolish Feng Yuan was. Possibly only Feng Yuan knew the truth. Maybe Heavenly Court could also have guessed something. Feng Yuan inspected his sovereign immortal aperture. Those desolate eagles and ancient desolate eagles were flying in the many 9 heavens. There were also some eagle nests in many purple heaven. Feng Yuan had obtained these eagle nests by looting the headquarters of Northern Plains Hay Tribe, Iron Eagle Blessed Land. There were ordinary baby eagles in the nests that were still growing. Using Hay Tribe's method of raising, after these baby eagles matured, they would likely become desolate eagles or even ancient desolate eagles. However, Feng Yuan had already used time path methods to slow down the rate of time in the sovereign immortal aperture. This led to these baby eagles growing up very slowly. As such, Feng Yuan would have to wait a long time for them to grow up into desolate eagles or ancient desolate eagles. For now, it is better to buy from outside. The more eagle beasts I have, the more control I would have over the upper extreme heavenly eagle. Right now, I have over 400 eagles, but I can just barely control it and can only order it to fly. It is not a big problem to make it fight against weak opponents, but it won't obey if I order it to fight strong enemies like Zui Hui. There is even a possibility of backlash. Now that they had escaped from the battlefield, Feng Yuan could calmly think that it was not just this. Feng Yuan also needed to consider and deal with the issues of what these desolate eagles and ancient desolate eagles ate, and what influence they would have to their surroundings to raise these eagle beasts. Feng Yuan would need a large amount of basic life forms to feed them. This meant he would have to build a complete food chain, and this food chain had to be of a large scale. Fortunately, my sovereign immortal aperture has a very large space. It is more than enough for this large group of eagle beasts. Moreover, the territory is vast but the population is sparse. I can construct independent ecologies without worrying about them being influenced by the inherent environment. It is like a piece of white paper that can be easily painted. I am quite well off right now, with over 100,000 immortal essence stones. Purchasing and raising the eagle beasts is only one aspect. The other thing is to improve reverse flow protection seal. Feng Yuan had become the leader of Shadow Sect after the giant Dream Realm incident. This greatly surpassed his expectations. Shadow Sect had lost badly. Spectral Soul's main body was captured, leading Feng Yuan to become the biggest eyesore to Heavenly Court. Even if Feng Yuan did not accept the leadership, he would still be targeted by Heavenly Court. Just like Purple Mountain True Monarch said, Feng Yuan was a complete otherworldly demon. Heavenly Court absolutely needed to kill him. As such, Feng Yuan might as well accept the responsibility over Shadow Sect. Wait until I have complete control over the upper extreme heavenly eagle and an improved reverse flow protection seal. I would then have some ability to defend myself against Heavenly Court. As he thought of this, Feng Yuan could not help but think of that majestic heaven overseeing tower. as well as that domineering quasi-rank 9 expert Duke Long, a formless pressure inevitably spread in Fang Yuan's mind. I am still too weak. Even though I have reverse flow protection seal protecting me, it can only let me stand in front of rank 8s and block their attacks. But if they attack endlessly, reverse flow river will be completely consumed in the end. Even though I have the immemorial desolate beast upper extreme heavenly eagle, it does not have enough intelligence and is not as convenient as me making a move myself. Moreover, 180 slaves. This enslavement path killer move can be unraveled. Sai, my strength is actually increasing rapidly. But what I am facing is Heavenly Court, the strongest Gu immortal force in the whole world. I need to devour immortal apertures and increase my cultivation level quickly. I can take a slight breather when I am at rank 8. Rank 7 cultivation is too low. But if I advance to rank 8, the sovereign immortal body's flaw will enlarge. It is hard to resolve. Fang Yuan was facing a dilemma. It is difficult for me to raise my strength. Under this situation, do I rely on them? Fang Yuan's gaze scanned around. Ing Wu Xie, by Ning Bing. He Lu Lan, Black Tigress, Fairy Miao Yin, as well as many pure dream reality seeker bodies. Purple Mountain True Monarch had left behind information path Gu worms in his inheritance, which recorded these people's situations in detail. Fang Yuan had also just read them. The pure dream reality seeker bodies were all defective goods. Purple Mountain True Monarch had refined them only as a veil to cover the actions of Spectral Soul's main body. These pure dream reality seeker bodies contained remnant souls of Purple Mountain True Monarch. Unfortunately, after they were refined, the remnant souls had merged into the pure dream reality seeker bodies, unable to be separated. The pure dream reality seeker physique bodies had a time limit, and when that limit was reached, they would self-detonate into dream realms, and these Purple Mountain remnant souls would disappear along with them. This defect could not be resolved even if Purple Mountain True Monarch came back to life. This was also the reason why Spectral Soul's main body had never put its soul into these pure dream reality seeker bodies. Ing Wuxia had also obtained a rank 7 pure dream reality seeker body from a cocoon of light, but he was an exception because he was once the original pure dream reality seeker, so the flaw of these defective goods did not affect him. His soul could still freely leave the pure dream reality seeker bodies. As such, although there were many of these pure dream reality seeker immortals, they were not worth nurturing. Fang Yuan had also captured nearly 10 using the Super Gu formation, but they were all released now since they had become his own men. Fang Yuan had originally prepared to put in a lot of effort to research and study this dream path attainment of Shadow Sect. But now that he had Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance, he understood them all, saving countless hours of research and trials. The remaining 5 Gu immortals were the true manpower that Fang Yuan could use. Currently, the strongest is undoubtedly by Ning Bing, who has inherited by Xiang's true inheritance. Unfortunately, we are only allies. Fairy Miao Yin cultivates the profound sound true inheritance. She is one of the 3 great fairies of southern border and is a rank 7. Her battle strength is reliable. Black Tigress. Just as Fang Yuan thought of this, dense black fog started to pour out from Black Tigress's whole body. The fog was immediately blown away by the strong wind. The black fog dissipated, revealed a girl with tender skin and large watery eyes. Her whole face was covered with innocence. Lady White Rabbit was back. Lord Wu Yihai, no. What should I call you? Lady White Rabbit asked Fang Yuan with a servile tone. He Lu Lan, by Ning Bing, and the others looked at her in astonishment. After recovering, Lady White Rabbit's cultivation fell from rank 7 to rank 6. This situation was truly hard to understand. However, Fang Yuan had inherited Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance and understood this Black Tigress true inheritance. A Gu immortal who cultivated this true inheritance would normally accumulate strength and burst out with outstanding battle strength when in a fight beyond their usual limits. However, there was a flaw in it. The user would develop 2 personalities. One was a dark, sinister side, and the other was a pure, innocent side. The Gu immortal would have the pure, innocent nature when living a normal life, having weak strength. When they face danger to their life or their mood gets intensely agitated, they would turn to the dark, sinister nature. This dark side had strong battle strength, but could only be maintained for a short period of time. Both sides shared the same senses and memories, but they usually had different thought processes. However, this was not a problem to Feng Yuan, because Lady White Rabbit already admired Wu Yihai, while Black Tigress was recruited by Purple Mountain True Monarch to be a member of Shadow Sect, and no matter which side it was, they were both loyal to Feng Yuan. Don't be afraid. I also had my own problems, so I had to hide my true identity from you. You can call me Feng Yuan. Feng Yuan warmly smiled at Lady White Rabbit. Lady White Rabbit seemed to be unable to accept it completely, as she acknowledged timidly. Feng Yuan sighed inwardly. Black Tigress has first-rate battle strength among rank 7, but it is not stable. Now, only He Lu Lan and Ying Wu Xie remain. He Lu Lan is the most loyal, but she only has rank 6 cultivation. She has the great strength true martial physique, but this natural talent is wasted by cultivating fire path, and she is bent on avenging her mother. Relying on the exquisite blazing heaven true inheritance, her battle strength can barely reach first rate in rank 7, but she is definitely the weakest. As for Ying Wu Xie, Feng Yuan gazed at Ying Wu Xie, who was slumped down on the back of the eagle and was looking at the sky with a dazed look. He seemed to have had his back removed. His whole body was limp like jelly, and his expression was extremely dark. Feng Yuan shook his head. Actually, Ying Wu Xie, who possessed lead soul into dream, could erupt with battle strength that could stably occupy the #1 position in strength. Even Feng Yuan had to be apprehensive of him, but such a person had no fighting spirit left. Even if he had lead soul into dream, what could one hope from him? Ying Wu Xie, hand over all your goo worms to me. Feng Yuan suddenly spoke. Ying Wu Xie did not speak. There was no response, as if he was a statue. Feng Yuan's voice became sharp. Ying Wu Xie, I am the leader of Shadow Sect. Are you disobeying me? Ying Wu Xie did not budge. His heart seemed to be withered in grief. A sharp light flashed past Feng Yuan's eyes, and he was just about to take action when suddenly, a strong pressure erupted from overhead and Immortal Goo House appeared. Shadow Sect remnants. E-Clan is here. Where do you think you are escaping to? Chapter 1377. Immortals versus Immortal Goo House. A vast aura descended and swept across them. Feng Yuan, along with Shadow Sect's immortals, got a jolt as their gazes focused. One of E-Clan's Immortal Goo Houses, Bay Pavilion. Feng Yuan blurted out the name of this Immortal Goo House. He had laid low in Wu Clan for a long period of time in Wu Yihai's identity. During this period of time, besides managing his immortal aperture and exploring dream realms, he naturally did some other things as well. For instance, using Wu Clan's channels to get detailed information of Southern Borders Goo Immortal World as such. When Bay Pavilion appeared, Feng Yuan immediately recognized it. Bay Pavilion was not tall, it only had 2 stories and looked flat. The pavilion was covered with ocean blue tiles, and it looked like a hawk spreading its wings. Golden islands were portrayed on the white walls, and blue waves were painted freely on the exposed columns. It had the style of Eastern Sea. Although E-Clan was one of Southern Borders' super forces, it was located in the northeast corner and had a close relation with Eastern Sea. This Bay Pavilion's strongest ability was to cross long distances. It could shoot through over 70,000 li directly. Southern Borders' Super Goo formation was invaded by Shadow Sect, and Heavenly Court also took part. E-Clan chose to mobilize Bay Pavilion, which was specialized in long-range chases. It was the best choice. Feng Yuan used the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle to escape from the Dream Realm battlefield and was planning to go to plunder Shadow Earth Trench. But Bay Pavilion just happened to move towards the direction of Feng Yuan and the group. Bay Pavilion's investigative range was extremely large. The Goo Immortals in the pavilion had already learned of the situation in the Dream Realm battlefield, and when they found traces of the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle, they immediately gave chase. The upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was extremely fast, but Bay Pavilion could travel through space and cross tens of thousands of li in an instant. After a few warps through space, Bay Pavilion finally caught up with Feng Yuan and blocked their path. Although Feng Yuan and the rest were shocked, they soon reacted. After all, they had just escaped from a battlefield. Their nerves were still tense, and they were on guard. Move. Fong Yuan controlled the upper extreme heavenly eagle to shoot towards Bay Pavilion at the same time. He took a step and nimbly jumped from the eagle's back. Before jumping, he did not forget to grab below him. Xianxia was grabbed by Fong Yuan. He was like a living corpse. His eyes were still open and did not even blink at the same time as Fong Yuan. By Ning Bing. He Lulan and the rest also jumped. Boom boom. There were two strong sounds. The upper extreme heavenly eagle waved its strong wings directly at Bay Pavilion. Bay Pavilion was immediately pushed quite a distance by the strong force, but there was no damage. A warm light blue radiance started to spread from it. When it just spread, this light blue radiance was only a layer of thin light covering Bay Pavilion. But soon, the blue light quickly spread outwards, dyeing the surrounding space of Bay Pavilion into a blue world. The blue light kept on surging and getting denser, and was also producing gushing sounds, like water. Waves. Suddenly, an elephant trampled out of the blue light. This elephant's size was slightly inferior in size to the upper extreme heavenly eagle, but a normal person would be as small as a cat when compared to it. It had a wide back and looked like a 7-story building, with doors and windows. It was truly strange. This is a wild beast specific to Eastern Sea, story-building water elephant. There are 7 stories on its back, which means it is an ancient, desolate beast. Fong Yuan immediately recognized it. He was very familiar with the story-building water elephant, because he had personally seen it before in the Eastern Sea Trading Convention. However, this story-building water elephant in front of him was not a real life form, but a certain defensive method used by Bay Pavilion.as for its battle strength, and how it compared to a true ancient story-building water elephant. It still needed to be tested out. Fong Yuan retreated with Xianxia and the rest, while using 180 slaves to command the upper extreme heavenly eagle. Kill this story-building water elephant. The upper extreme heavenly eagle accepted the command and let out a sharp C or wide it descended on the story-building water elephant, then grabbed at it. Plop. The story-building water elephant could not resist the sharp eagle claws and was directly pierced through, collapsing instantly. It turned back into a blue light that returned to Bay Pavilion. Such strength. It is indeed an immemorial desolate beast. Inside Bay Pavilion, Clansgu immortals were also paying attention to this probe, but the result made them exclaim in shock. The upper extreme heavenly eagle was already fostered. Although its growth was quickened, there were enough heavenly crystals, letting it gain true rank 8 battle strength. It was not like last time. He Lulan, Fairy Miao-in, and others let out sighs of relief. This story-building water elephant is weaker than normal ancient desolate beasts. Even a true ancient story-building water elephant is not the upper extreme heavenly eagle's match, let alone this one, which is much weaker. Fong Yuan's mood, however, was somewhat heavy. This ability, it should be the immortal killer move water life resurrection. This move can create countless water life forms and use them for battle. Its strength is that even if the formed beasts are destroyed, as long as the blue light returns, the loss will be very small. Bay Pavilion can recreate them easily. Sure enough, in just a short while, story-building water elephants condensed from Bay Pavilion again. They all had 7 stories with ancient desolate level battle strength. Moreover, there were even more of them this time. 5 in total. 5 water elephants condensed by the blue light charged towards the upper extreme heavenly eagle. Fong Yuan thought. Water life resurrection, according to Wu Clan's analysis, not only involves transformation path and water path immortal goo, it also has light path immortal goo. It is impossible to break this move right away. This move can greatly expend its enemy's battle strength. I cannot get caught up in Clan's flow. The moment this thought flashed through Fong Yuan's mind, he controlled the upper extreme heavenly eagle to directly attack Bay Pavilion, disregarding the story-building water elephants at the same time. Fong Yuan gave a command to the Shadow Sect immortals. We need to help the upper extreme heavenly eagle and destroy these 5 water elephants. He Lulan was the first to respond. She stretched out her right arm. Her 5 fingers moved together without any gaps between them, and lightly jabbed at a story-building water elephant. Boom! A burning crimson ray of light erupted from between her fingers, and with breakneck speed, it pierced through the air towards the water elephant. This immortal killer move's speed was truly astonishing. The crimson ray completely pierced through the story-building water elephant, destroying it. Instantly, Fairy Meow-een was the second to strike. Another 2 pairs of arms suddenly grew out from her body, and along with her 2 original arms, the 6 arms spread out like a blooming lotus. The 6 hands moved by themselves. The smooth long fingers were moving in a dazzling motion. Ding ding, dang dang, cling cling, clang clang. With the movement of her fingers, sharp sounds could be heard whenever they touched the same time. Concentrated, translucent sound waves appeared around 3 water elephants. The sound waves appeared quickly and vanished just as quickly. The 3 water elephants were covered in the sound waves. The injuries on them quickly accumulated. They charged left and right, trying to throw off the sound waves. But the sound waves followed them like shadows. Soon, these 3 water elephants were killed, turning into 3 blue lights that returned to the immortal goo house. Earlier, Feng Yuan had only seen information on these 2 immortal killer moves. He did not witness their effects. But now, it was different. Hei Lulan is using the Fire Path Killer move Crimson Ray. Fairy Meow-een is using her trump card, Wondrous Hand Profound Sound. These 2 immortal killer moves had originated from Purple Mountain True Monarch, and Purple Mountain True Monarch had given all his inheritances to Feng Yuan. Thus Feng Yuan knew them clearly. However, Feng Yuan did not thoroughly understand Bai Ningbing's killer move. 4 water elephants were already destroyed. Bai Ningbing, in her white robe, was crossing her arms across her chest, her dragon eyes flashing with cold light. She seemed to have not made a move, but she had actually already activated her killer move. The final story-building water elephant had soundlessly already frozen into a giant ice block. But soon, the frozen story-building water elephant turned back into a blue light that passed through the ice layer and returned to Bay Pavilion, unobstructed. Bai Ningbing coldly snorted when she saw this. Feng Yuan's expression slightly shifted as he thought of many things, gaining a deeper understanding of the Gu immortals on his side. Hei Lulan is restricted by the alliance agreement, and has no choice but to follow me completely, so she had the fastest response and had no hesitation. Fairy Meow-een did not hesitate on using her trump card, handling 3-story building water elephants by herself, as if she wants to prove her loyalty towards me. As for Bai Ningbing, she inherited Bai Xiang's true inheritance, and we are only allies. The killer move she used should be Cold Eyes. She tried to freeze the story-building water elephant and prevent the blue light from returning. Unfortunately, it is of no use. All kinds of thoughts flashed through Feng Yuan's mind as he threw Ying Wuxie behind him. Behind him was Lady White Rabbit. Right now, she still had rank 6 cultivation and had a terrified expression as she looked at the fight between the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle and Bay Pavilion. Take him and retreat to the back, Feng Yuan said to Lady White Rabbit. Without turning around, Lady White Rabbit quickly agreed and obediently retreated far away. Feng Yuan slightly flew forward and took a deep breath. His body suddenly let out dazzling silver light. Red Date Immortal Essence was consumed rapidly as Immortal Goo were activated. Rank 6 Change Form Immortal Goo. Rank 7 Dragon Breath Immortal Goo. Rank 6 Dragon Scales Immortal Goo. Rank 7 Dragon Strength Immortal Gu.at the same time. A large amount of mortal goo, like Dragon Scales Goo, Dragon Horn Goo, Dragon Claws Goo, Dragon Eyes Goo, and so on were also activated. Immortal Killer Move. Ancient Sword Dragon Transformation. The bright silver light suddenly dissipated. Feng Yuan had disappeared. In his place was an elegant silver sword dragon that was emitting a sharp, awe-inspiring aura. The sword dragon growled lightly. It grabbed 2 pure dream reality seeker bodies with its claws, and then swung its tail. Immortal Goo Sword Escape. Whoosh! The ancient sword dragon Feng Yuan had transformed into disappeared from the spot. Feng Yuan's whole field of vision suddenly blurred. The next moment, his sight was mostly covered with the roof of Bay Pavilion. He was already above Bay Pavilion. There was no hesitation. Feng Yuan flicked the 2 pure dream reality seeker bodies down like bullets. Under the astonished gazes of Lady White Rabbit and the group, 2 pure dream reality seeker immortals detonated, turning back into 2 dream realms that covered Bay Pavilion. The upper extreme heavenly eagle lightly turned its body and quickly moved away from the range of the dream realms. Bay Pavilion was in a commotion. Oh no, this is Dream Realm. This is bad. Bay Pavilion cannot block the dream realms. The entire immortal goo house will be corroded and break down. Chapter 1378, Wu Yong's Chase. Chapter 1378, Wu Yong's Chase. Even Heaven Overseeing Tower, which had rank 9 Fate Immortal Goo, was corroded when it fell into a dream realm. In the Battle of the Giant Dream Realm, Duke Long had personally tried it, and Heaven Overseeing Tower had been in its phantom state as well, but it was not spared. Heaven Overseeing Tower faced such a situation. There was no need to discuss the rank 7 Immortal Goo House, Bay Pavilion. The moment it was trapped in the dream realms, the whole of Bay Pavilion began to slowly break apart. E-Clan's Goo Immortals, since they had lost control over a large amount of Goo worms. This situation immediately gave these E-Clan Goo Immortals an unprecedented shock. Without any hesitation, they began to activate Bay Pavilion's strongest method, Immortal Killer Move, Boundless Sea and Sky. Bay Pavilion rumbled and burst out with dazzling blue light, but it could not pierce through the dream realms. However, the Immortal Killer Move was still activated. The next moment, Bay Pavilion suddenly disappeared. It crossed a whole 70,000 li and arrived at another area, completely leaving the battlefield. The whole of Bay Pavilion was in ruins and no longer looked as majestic as before. The E-Clan Goo Immortals took large breaths. Some were even soaked in sweat. We escaped. That was truly dangerous. If we were just a little slower, we might have truly been trapped. The dream realms are too terrifying. Even an immortal Goo house has no resistance. No wonder someone prophesied that Great Dream Immortal Venerable would be the strongest venerable. Damn it, we could not catch those Shadow Sect scoundrels. E-Clan's Goo Immortals rejoiced for a while before they clenched their teeth. They had retreated. It was too late for them to go back. Shadow Sect's members would have definitely used the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle to escape. Not long ago, when Bay Pavilion had discovered traces of Feng Yuan and the others, they had to spend quite a bit of effort before they were able to catch up. According to both sides' strength, E-Clan, which had the rank 7 Immortal Goo house, should have been slightly stronger. Even though the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was rank 8, it had no way to deal with Bay Pavilion in a short period of time. E-Clan could attack, defend, advance, or retreat freely. On the other hand, Feng Yuan's side was a motley crew of Goo Immortals. They could be dealt with one by one. What increased the confidence of E-Clan's Goo Immortals even more was that as long as they delayed for some time, they could wait for reinforcements from other super forces. They possessed a rank 7 Immortal Goo house. They only had to make no mistakes, and they would be able to delay Feng Yuan and the others. In fact, E-Clan Goo Immortals did exactly that. They had activated the Immortal Killer Move Water Life Resurrection for a prolonged battle. It was just that Feng Yuan's reaction was too fast. He directly used 2 pure Dream Reality Seeker bodies as Immortal Killer moves and sent them at Bay Pavilion. This had completely caught E-Clan off guard. E-Clan Goo Immortals also knew of some details about the Battle of the Giant Dream Realm, but they had never expected Feng Yuan would be so vicious, sacrificing his own allies so ruthlessly. Another thing was that Feng Yuan had transformed into an ancient sword dragon, which had an extremely fast speed. His transformation path Dao marks turned into sword path Dao marks, added to the sword path Dao marks from the continuous use of sword eyebrows Immortal Goo, along with sword escape Immortal Goo, as well as the ancient sword dragon's own speed. It produced an extremely extraordinary burst of speed that if Feng Yuan had moved with his own body, using only Sword Escape Immortal Goo and carrying 2 pure Dream Reality Seeker bodies, he would still have been fast, but E-Clan's Goo Immortals would be able to react and respond. E-Clan's Goo Immortals had unsightly expressions. They had Bay Pavilion, but were still attacked by Feng Yuan. Bay Pavilion was in a ruined state and had suffered much damage. More importantly, they had lost face. Having already notified other southern border Righteous Path Goo Immortals, when they arrived, how would the E-Clan Goo Immortals face them? Bay Pavilion was a scene of silence. A while later, the leader of this group of E-Clan Goo Immortals spoke. Let's quickly repair Bay Pavilion. Although we fell into the dream realms, there is no damage to the Immortal Goo. The spare mortal goo we brought over can restore Bay Pavilion completely within a few minutes. The enemy is powerful. He can actually control the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle to such a degree. What's even more terrifying is that he doesn't even frown at killing his own allies. Such a nature is simply too ruthless. We tried hard, but how could we resist the dream realms? I had wanted to fight these demons to death, but looking at the big picture, we had no other choice than to escape and send this information to other righteous path Gu immortals. E-Clan's leader poured out words after words, while the other Gu immortals nodded in agreement. The facts could not be changed. But with these words, it gave them a completely different feeling. After the E-Clan leader said his words, he began to contact Wu Yong and other righteous path Gu immortals, informing them of the situation here. What? They were actually defeated. Didn't they have Bay Pavilion? They could still lose. Hee. Look at their excuses. E-Clan is truly shameless. But we have the information now. For instance, upper extreme Heavenly Eagle as well as Ancient Sword Dragon transformation. At the mention of the Ancient Sword Dragon transformation, these righteous path Gu immortals in the Dream Realm battlefield looked at each other. They unavoidably thought of a person, Lu Guanyi. Lu Guanyi is a demonic path Gu immortal who also cultivates Ancient Sword Dragon transformation. Do you think this shadow sect Gu immortal is him? Not necessarily. Transforming into an Ancient Sword Dragon is only an immortal killer move. Moreover, in the Battle of Reverse Flow River, Lu Guanyi clearly was hostile towards Shadow Sect. Lu Guanyi is a Northern Plains Gu immortal, but that person had Southern Border aura. But this is not a clear indication. If he is a Shadow Sect member, then it is not strange for him to have methods to conceal his aura. For instance, doesn't Wu Clan have an immortal killer move to change their aura to other regions? Some people looked towards Wu Yong. Wu Yong had a serious expression. Whether that person is Lu Guanyi or not, we need to find my brother, Wu Yihai's whereabouts. Who wants to chase Shadow Sect with me? He spoke clearly, his voice spreading throughout the whole scene. Lord Wu Yong is kind-hearted. You are still worried about your brother. It truly makes me emotional. We will go. I am willing to see Lord Wu Yong's divine might. The other Southern Border righteous path Gu immortals responded one after the other that Wu Yong's performance in the Purple Blood River formation had been spread throughout Southern Border's Gu immortal world by Time Mian Shun. This information circulation speed could not be doubted. Any Gu immortal, as long as they had cultivated to rank 8, would become the center of attention no matter the location. Because their every move, even if unintended, would cause huge and long-lasting repercussions to their surroundings. That Wu Yong was the leader of Wu Clan, and he had revealed their fourth immortal Gu house, Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building, making Southern Border's Gu immortals acknowledge his power. Adding on that Wu Clan held the #1 position, Wu Yong's call was immediately responded to by many. This bunch of people are still crafty. They want to hide behind me and make my Wu Clan the vanguard. Wu Yong sneered internally. Wu Yong, naturally, was a person who went after practical interests, but he could not do that now. He had to show some effort on the surface. His little brother was missing. As an older brother, he had to look like he had done his best to save his brother. Especially since the Life Tablet Gu and Soul Lantern Gu related to Feng Yuan in Wu Clan's ancestral hall had not shattered. Moreover, as the head of the righteous path, he must take charge of the whole situation. Otherwise, with the interests of Southern Border's righteous path being infringed, if he did not stand up, his and Wu Clan's prestige would fall sharply. Naturally. The more important reason was that Feng Yuan had borrowed 6 immortal Gu from Wu Clan, a total of 6 immortal Gu, as well as the huge sum of 100,000 immortal essence stones. Among these immortal Gu was Bloodline Immortal Gu, which Wu Yong had personally approved before it was lent to Feng Yuan. Even those 100,000 immortal essence stones were personally initiated to be given to Feng Yuan by Wu Yong. Now that Wu Yihai was missing, the greatest responsibility fell on Wu Yong's head. That if Wu Yong did not give chase, not only could he not have any explanation to give to Southern Border's righteous path Gu immortals, he would not even be able to give an explanation to Wu Clan. Immediately, Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building led the Southern Border experts and gave chase in the direction of the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle. Although E-Clan was beaten back by Feng Yuan and lost track of the upper extreme heavenly eagle. Wu Yong had another method. He immediately sent a message to Wu clan. Supreme Elder Wu Fa, take out the relevant immortal goo from the treasury and assemble the life. Location searching goo formation. Put Wu Ehai's life tablet goo and soul lantern goo in the formation and deduce his location. Wu Fa was Wu Yong's trusted aide. He immediately accepted the order and quickly took action. Wu Yong gathered battle information. According to Heavenly Court's performance, they did not make a move against Southern Border's Goo Immortals, but they had plundered the battlefield before leaving, sweeping away many immortal Goo belonging to the Southern Border forces. Southern Border would definitely want to settle the score with Central Continent. However, at present, Wu Yong needed to prioritize saving Wu Ehai. Heavenly Court was powerful. It would be difficult to try getting back the immortal goo from them. It was better to just give chase after Shadow Sect, which was not that strong, and since Wu Ehai's life tablet had not shattered, he might have indeed been captured by them. Naturally, since Shadow Sect has information path methods to break my life tablet goo and soul lantern goo to create a false image of my death, they likely can kill Wu Ehai without letting the life tablet goo and soul lantern goo shatter. Their aim would be to lure us into chasing them. Wu Yong considered carefully. This thought also flashed past his mind. However, he still chose to give chase regardless of this, because this time, there was not only him. There were countless other Southern Border Righteous Path Goo Immortals, Rank 8 Goo Immortal Chi Chu Yu, and several Immortal Goo houses. With such a battle force, Wu Yong was confident of crushing Shadow Sect even if they laid an ambush in front of absolute power. All schemes and plots were useless at the same time. The upper extreme heavenly eagle was flying with all its strength on the eagle's back. Fang Yuan was sitting cross-legged, his eyes closed as he quietly activated a mysterious immortal goo, perceivable Dao. Soon after, Fang Yuan stopped activating it, his expression solemn. There are indeed many information path Dao marks added on my body. I have probably been struck by some information path killer move. The probability of Southern Border's Righteous Path Goo Immortals having done this is low. It is more likely to have been done by Central Continent's Heavenly Court, particularly Fairy Z Wei. No matter what, I need to quickly get to plunder Shadow Earth Trench and use information path methods to resolve this information path killer move. Chapter 1379, Star Constellations Method. Chapter 1379, Star Constellations Method. White Heaven. Boom! A tower broke through the air, flying rapidly in white heaven while leaving behind a long trail of wind. Wherever it went, the surrounding beast groups would feel threat and flee, because this tower was releasing an intense rank 9 aura. It was Heaven Overseeing Tower. After the Battle of the Giant Dream Realm, Heavenly Court plundered Southern Border's Super Goo Formation, taking away all the goo worms with them. Right now, Heaven Overseeing Tower had already been repaired to its original condition by the many Central Continent Goo Immortals. At the top of the tower, there was only Duke Long and Fairy Z Wei. It seems Southern Border's White Heaven has not been influenced by Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace. Fairy Z Wei stopped looking at the outside world and turned towards Duke Long. A trace of worry was revealed on her beautiful face. Duke Long was sitting cross-legged on the ground, his brows tightly knotted and his face ashen, his expression turning ruthless from time to time. His strong body was like a monolith. Even though he was sitting down, he gave a feeling of a huge pillar that could support the sky. Truly worthy of being spectral soul, demon venerable, even just a small remnant soul. Could be a huge trouble to Lord Duke Long. Lord Duke Long wanted to take the door of life and death for Heavenly Court. But who could have thought it would be used by spectral soul? Fairy Z Wei was worried on one hand, while also being full of admiration towards Duke Long. In this journey, Heavenly Court had swept away the disgrace from the defeat in Northern Plains. They had rampaged through the battlefield and taken spectral soul captive. This was mostly the contribution of Duke Long. Without Duke Long fighting, they absolutely could not have such an impressive result. Just as she was thinking, Duke Long slowly opened his eyes. Lord Duke Long, is there anything I can help you with? Fairy Z Wei quickly came forward and asked. Duke Long slowly shook his head. Don't worry, Spectral Soul is putting up his feudal final resistance now. I have already gained control over the situation. As long as we return to Heavenly Court and use Heavenly Court's power, we can easily suppress him. That's good. According to this speed, we should have more than enough time. Fairy Ziwei let out a breath of relief. However, Duke Long continued. But we need to prepare for unexpected mishaps. If my soul is devoured by spectral soul, he will most likely pretend to be me. So, once we return to Heavenly Court, immediately confine and seal me. Then use every method in Heavenly Court to carry out a detailed inspection. If I suppress spectral soul, I will naturally cooperate. If spectral soul has devoured me, he will give himself away at that time. If he continues to pretend and does not resist being sealed by Heavenly Court, he would become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Duke Long had considered everything, not giving even the slightest opportunity to spectral soul. Fairy Ziwei quickly acknowledged. After a while of silence, Duke Long asked, "What's the situation regarding Fang Yuan?" Fairy Ziwei answered, "Some time ago, Immortal Gu House Bay Pavilion of Southern Borders, E-Clan unexpectedly ran into Fang Yuan's group. Unfortunately, they could not stop him. Fang Yuan is too crafty. He guessed Bay Pavilion might have found them due to him being tracked, so he used Immortal Gu to inspect himself, and he truly did find something fishy. But Fairy Ziwei revealed a confident smile. Even if he found out, so what? My investigative killer move was activated with the help of Immortal Gu House Star Constellation chessboard. This was the method Star Constellation Immortal Venerable used in the past. That's good. Duke Long felt assured, and slowly closed his eyes again. Southern border. The upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was flying quickly while carrying Fang Yuan and the others. The sharp eagle cry resounded throughout the sky, scaring away all the birds in a huge surrounding area. The journey was unimpeded. They did not see Bay Pavilion again. Shadow Sects immortals slightly let down their guard, and Earth Trench gradually appeared in their sights. The Earth Trench was deep and dark, its depths unable to be seen. Even though it was a sunny day, the Earth Trench was filled with darkness. This is Plunder Shadow Earth Trench. Fang Yuan stood up and looked down at the full view of Plunder Shadow Earth Trench. When Wuxia had led Shadow Sect, Fang Yuan had chased them to Northern Plains, where they awakened Purple Mountain True Monarch. After the Battle of Reverse Flow River, Purple Mountain True Monarch led Shadow Sect's remnant forces to Eastern Sea from Northern Plains, before coming to Southern Border. This Plunder Shadow Earth Trench was their temporary headquarters. After the Battle of the Giant Dream Realm, Fang Yuan's identity of Wu Yihai was already exposed. Even if Heavenly Court had not exposed it, this false identity could not be used anymore. And after a strange series of coincidences, Fang Yuan had become the new leader of Shadow Sect, so he brought the remnant forces of Shadow Sect here to rest and reorganize. Swoosh. The upper extreme Heavenly Eagle folded its wings and began to swoop down to plunder Shadow Earth Trench. Soon, it entered the Earth Trench with Fang Yuan and the others, disappearing into the boundless darkness. Although the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was enormous, it could not be compared to Plunder Shadow Earth Trench. Entering the depths of Plunder Shadow Earth Trench, the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was like a small bird by the side of a warship. All kinds of strange and ghastly sounds entered the ears of Fang Yuan and the group. Amongst the shadows were auras of many desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts. Most of them were shadow monsters. Shadow monsters were a type of beast usually born in areas with dense dark path down marks. Plunder Shadow Earth Trench was undoubtedly such a place. Although shadow monsters were beasts, they still had the innate instinct to avoid danger. The upper extreme Heavenly Eagle's immemorial aura frightened them, and they dispersed by themselves without needing Fang Yuan to drive them away. Fang Yuan and the others smoothly arrived at their destination. This was not the deepest area of Plunder Shadow Earth Trench, but a cave in a steep mountain wall. The cave entrance was wide. Even the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle could squeeze in, albeit with some difficulty. After they entered the cave, Fang Yuan and the others got off the eagle. Fang Yuan put the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle back in his immortal aperture as he moved inside the cave. With Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance, it was a piece of cake for Fang Yuan to reach the main area, and he had no obstruction in getting control over the Gu formation here. This Gu formation is pretty good. It is arranged by using the dense dark path down marks here. Only mortal Gu are used. but it has the might of an immortal goo formation, and its best effect is to prevent the deductions of others. Those who were able to use the natural Tao marks in the environment to construct a goo formation definitely had great Grandmaster attainment level. This was not hard for Shadow Sect. With Feng Yuan's current formation path Grandmaster attainment, he could only see through this formation roughly and did not deeply understand its workings. It was impossible for him to construct this formation currently. Feng Yuan was able to let out a sigh of relief here. He did not immediately try to remove the investigative killer move on him. Instead, he summoned the other Gu Immortals one by one to have discussions with them alone, as the leader of Shadow Sect. Feng Yuan naturally needed to do such a matter. Lady White Rabbit was extremely obedient. She would answer whatever Feng Yuan asked. Fairy Meow Een was somewhat bold, after quickly replying. To a question from Feng Yuan, she often asked Feng Yuan back. Her eyes occasionally gave off coquettish glances, and she even asked who was prettier between her and Xiao Si Lu. And, in the discussion with He Lu Lan, Feng Yuan took the initiative to mention that if He Lu Lan made a huge contribution, he could consider removing her alliance agreement and restoring her freedom. Speaking of which, He Lu Lan's awkward situation was actually somewhat because of Feng Yuan. After Feng Yuan had reborn, he had changed many of the original events. Before his rebirth, He Lu Lan had already killed He Cheng with the help of Blazing Heaven Demoness, and completed her revenge. She found her true self, and with attitude Gu, she sought to gain control of He tribe. Her future prospects had been bright and clear. After the Battle of Etian Mountain, He Lu Lan lost her aunts, and with a strange combination of many factors that were not in her control, she finally ended up becoming Feng Yuan's subordinate, just like Howing Wuxie considered He Lu Lan to be a talent. Feng Yuan thought similarly. Then there was Bai Ning Bing. Even if you didn't look for me, I would have looked for you. Bai Ning Bing spoke first. Her attitude was completely different from the others. She was holding her arms across her chest and looking down at Feng Yuan. You have made Heavenly Court your enemy. Southern Border's righteous path also won't let you go. What is your plan now? Bai Ning Bing asked. She had taken part in the Battle of the Giant Dream Realm as well, and was now in the same camp as Feng Yuan. Southern Border's righteous path similarly would not let her off. I will first process the gains of Shadow Sect's resources, then I will think about it step by step. Feng Yuan said. The Giant Dream Realm was gone and Wu Yihai's identity was exposed. Feng Yuan had lost this cultivation shortcut. However, after becoming the leader of Shadow Sect, what Feng Yuan gained was much greater than his losses. Chapter 1380, Location Exposed. Shadow Sect might have been thoroughly beaten, with Spectral Soul captured, and only Ying Wuxie and Sixth Hair remaining as viable split souls, but it still had many resources left behind. Immortal Goo and immortal materials only occupied a small portion. The keys were immortal Goo recipes, immortal killer moves, immortal Goo houses, and so on. There were massive amounts of immortal Goo recipes, countless immortal killer moves, and even 12 construction plans of immortal Goo houses, Profound Ice House, Unbreakable Iron Fortress, Blood River Chariot, Nightmare Castle, Greenwave Pavilion, Weaving Cocoon Manor, Golden Altar, Regret Pool, Sacred Feather City. There were also clues to all kinds of true inheritances. For instance, by Xiang's true inheritance, even the secret of 5 Xiangs, the true inheritance of Paradise Earth in the Blue Dragon Whale, clues to Red Lotus true inheritance, clues to Reckless Savage's true inheritance. Naturally, these true inheritances were hard to obtain. If not for this, Shadow Sect would have already taken them and used them to increase their foundation and help in refining sovereign immortal fetus Goo. Even without these clues, just Spectral Soul's own true inheritances were an enormous gain. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had used all kinds of soul path methods to massacre life forms of the 5 regions. His soul-devouring method could absorb the experiences and memories of its prey. His split soul technique created generations of Shadow Sect members. His soul replacement technique could create a masterpiece spy like Sixth Hair, and he had even inserted a spy in Heavenly Court. Furthermore, his own soul cultivation, his final form, Feng Yuan could clearly remember how Spectral Soul had used his soul alone to resist the tribulations in the Battle of Etian Mountain. Right now, there were 2 most important matters in front of Feng Yuan. First was information path. He needed to resolve the investigative killer move on him, as well as various alliance agreements, and regain his freedom. Second was wisdom goo. Fang Yuan had now already grasped the method to undo the soul path down marks in his immortal zombie body. At that time, he could regain wisdom goo's acknowledgement and obtain the massive help of the light of wisdom. By Ningbing continued. I already have yin-yang rotation goo now, but I need to advance it to immortal level before I can reverse this female body. But refinement path is too vast and profound. Yin-yang rotation goo is also not my vital goo. I don't have confidence in doing so. Fang Yuan nodded. I understand. Shadow Sect will help you refine it. This is what your agreement with Shadow Sect was. I am now the leader of Shadow Sect. I can also acknowledge the previous agreement. Because we will need to rely on each other for a long time now, isn't that right? It is good you have such awareness. Bai Ningbing lightly glanced at Fang Yuan. Before leaving in satisfaction. To speak of it, Shadow Sect had more women than men. Bai Ningbing, Hei Lulan, Lady White Rabbit, and Fairy Miao Yin were all female immortals. Only Ying Wuxia and Fang Yuan were males. After this round of discussions, Fang Yuan, the new Shadow Sect leader, had obtained true acknowledgement that as for Ying Wuxia, he was still in a dispirited state. He turned a deaf ear to everything Fang Yuan said. Killing intent surged in Fang Yuan's mind, and he wanted to end Ying Wuxia's life, taking all the immortal goo as well as grasping an excellent method like lead soul into dream. However, Fang Yuan thought of it and decided there was no hurry for now, that he had already grasped all the contents of lead soul into dream and only lacked the goo worms. But this move had a huge burden on a goo immortal's mind. It was also complex and very difficult to learn, and there were other aspects that were even more difficult to take into consideration. Even if Fang Yuan took the immortal goo, he would have to spend some time before he could be proficient in it. Naturally, he also had other methods. For instance, the soul-devouring method. As long as he devoured Ying Wuxia's soul, Fang Yuan would have memories and large amounts of experience related to lead soul into dream. Back then, when Ying Wuxia had just been born, he was able to quickly use lead soul into dream. It was because the original split soul contained large amounts of memories pertaining to it. There was another reason as well. Sixth Hair. Sixth Hair was a spy placed in Langya Blessed Land by Shadow Sect. Fang Yuan already knew of that, but after Fang Yuan became Shadow Sect's leader, he could not say for sure if he would obtain Sixth Hair's acknowledgement. Sixth Hair was one of the split souls of Spectral Soul, which had infiltrated into Langya Blessed Land and slowly grew up into a refinement path goo immortal. He and Fang Yuan had a hostile relation. Now all of a sudden, Fang Yuan had become the leader of Shadow Sect. Although it was Purple Mountain True Monarch's will, would Sixth Hair accept it? Fang Yuan did not have confidence. More importantly, Sixth Hair was not bound by an alliance agreement of Shadow Sect. He could not have that if he had an information path alliance agreement. It could easily be seen through by Langya Land spirit. His identity would be exposed. After all, no matter which Lang Yalan spirit it was, they were both refinement path experts. They naturally had all kinds of methods to see the Dao marks in immortal materials. Fang Yuan did not know what Sixth Hair's stance would be, but he understood that if he casually sacrificed Ying Wuxia and took away his goo worms, there would be little hope of Sixth Hair acknowledging him. Sixth Hair did not have high value himself, but he was a member of Langya's sect. If used properly, who was to say that he would not be of help to Fang Yuan in the future to topple the whole of Langya's sect? Fang Yuan did not want to lose this possibility for the moment. The gains could not match the losses. As such, Fang Yuan chose to let Lady White Rabbit look over Ying Wuxia, while he entered closed cultivation to resolve the investigative killer move on him. When Purple Mountain True Monarch's immortal goo ended up in Fang Yuan's hands, they were no longer a comprehensive set. However, these goo worms could barely form an immortal killer move called Wisdom Balances Calamity, which could dispel the hidden dangers to oneself. Although it was not specially suited to his needs, it was the strongest method Fang Yuan could use currently. Fang Yuan had never used Wisdom Balances Calamity, but fortunately, its structure was simple. It used few immortal goo and its steps were uncomplicated as well. If it were a complex killer move, Fang Yuan would not have chosen to attempt it so lightly. Red Date Immortal Essence started to be expended as goo worms activated according to Fang Yuan's thoughts and will. Shortly after, a mysterious light spread out from Fang Yuan's body. Bam! The next moment, the mysterious light suddenly collapsed, producing a muffled sound. Fang Yuan's body slightly shook, two streams of blood flowing down his nose. The activation had failed. However, this situation was within Fang Yuan's expectations. New killer moves needed to be attempted many times before they could be successfully activated. Man, as before. Fang Yuan quickly recovered to his prime state and began to try again. Second try, failure. Third try, failure. Fifth try, sixth try, failure. While Fang Yuan was activating the killer move, in southern borders Wu clan, Supreme Elder Wu Fa was facing a small goo formation. This goo formation was only the size of a water vat, but it used as many as 1,000 goo worms. The goo formation was spread on the ground and was controlled by 3 other Wu clan goo immortals who were continuously pouring in their immortal essence. The goo formation activated and started revolving quickly like a whirlpool. Ready? Wu Fa asked. The 3 Wu clan goo immortals nodded slightly, their attention completely on controlling this immortal goo formation. That Wu Fa slowly spread his hand open, revealing 2 mortal goo in it, that a life tablet goo and a soul lantern goo. He carefully tossed these 2 goo worms into the goo formation. These 2 mortal goo were quickly engulfed and disappeared in the whirlpool. The rotation speed of the whirlpool suddenly increased by several times. Sweat covered the foreheads of all 3 Wu clan goo immortals. Their expressions turned pale and their bodies started trembling. After continuing for a while, 2 goo immortals directly collapsed on the ground, unconscious. The only remaining one slowly opened his eyes and gave a location with extreme exhaustion. That Wu Fa quickly transmitted this location to Wu Yong. Wu Yihai is likely to have been taken captive by Shadow Sect. Since his life tablet goo has not shattered, we can use this crucial clue to find Shadow Sect's hideout. Plunder Shadow Earth Trench. Thinking of this, Wu Yong called out to the southern border righteous forces, I have a clue. Follow me. Plunder Shadow Earth Trench. Fang Yuan's expression was unsightly. Wisdom balances calamity actually cannot break the investigative killer move on me. It seems I need to use a stronger method. At this time, He Lulan's urgent voice reached Fang Yuan's ears. The situation is not good. Plunder Shadow Earth Trench's goo formation suddenly broke. It can prevent others' deductions. It seems our location is exposed. I already know. Fang Yuan was not surprised. He was in control of this goo formation. Any problem in the goo formation would be immediately known by him. Fang Yuan was not panicking at the incoming peril. He had already thought of a way. Everyone, come over. We need to practice the ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel.